Good afternoon, everyone. I do not have any conflicts to declare for this presentation. My name is Conrad, and I'm a Senior Project Manager at Diabetes Action Canada, leading the National Diabetes Repository, part of the Digital Health branch, and I'll get to that in a bit. But most importantly, I am the father of two amazing girls, one of which was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 2 years ago. A month after starting kindergarten, on Halloween Day 2018, Chloe was admitted to McMaster Children's Hospital with a blood sugar reading of over 30 millimoles per liter, and she was formally diagnosed as a type Wonder Woman, my type Wonder Woman, and that's exactly what she is in every single way. Now let me set the stage for the parents out there. Think of that feeling when you send your child to school for the first time. The anxiousness and nervousness, and then you give them strength so they can make it through that day. Well, that was me. Chloe just started kindergarten, and there was so much hope and possibilities, and none of that changed, except now I had to contend with sending my child to a school that was an hour away from my work, to a place where the staff was not trained to spot hypoglycemia, to a place that had policies which prevented willing people from checking her blood sugar levels and giving her insulin if she needed it. And you all know the consequences of a prolonged high or low blood sugar and the consequences that they can have. Well, that was my fear, and honestly, there was really nothing that I can do about it. Chloe, at the age of 4, was not in a position to self-administer insulin. Yes, there were pumps available, and I'll get to that, but our option at the time was requesting a nurse from the Community Care Access Center. But there was a nurse shortage at the CCAC. So for the first 2 months after her diagnosis, I was her pancreas for 24 hours a day, taking time off work and going to her school 3 times a day in order to check her blood and give her insulin before her snacks and lunch. When the nurse finally got assigned, it made things a lot easier, but mentally there was another issue that we were faced with, and it was the stigma of a child in a class who goes to the nurse's office every day. Chloe mentioned that some of the kids stopped playing with her. So that's when the advocacy kicked in for me, that Papa Bear instinct. So I got in touch with the principal of the school and I asked to do a presentation to Chloe's class. So I was there standing in a room full of 4-year-old kids and I was explaining to them what type diabetes was and they cannot simply catch diabetes from Chloe. That her having diabetes did not mean she could not do all the other things that the kids did. The school was great. They took away the stigma of Chloe going to the nurse's office every day, and they used it as a learning experience. There was excitement, and the kids would raise their hands and ask, can they be Chloe's buddy, and can they go to the nurse's office with her? The stigma was erased. Chloe was happy that I went to her class, and she was happy that the kids were interested and they asked questions. So we took it a step further. She wanted to do something for her diaversary, her 1-year anniversary after her diagnosis. So on Halloween Day, the following year, we gave away treats for Halloween with a little note attached to it. And here's what the note said. Hi, friends. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes last year. I didn't get it because I ate too much candy. It just happened. The month of November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and I want you all to know the signs so you can all be safe. It then listed all the warning signs of type 1 diabetes. A few days after Halloween, we had parent-teacher interviews at Chloe's school. When we were there, Chloe's teacher broke down in tears and said that she read the note and the warning signs and she noticed them in another child. She then told the child's parents the child was tested and the child was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So there's knowledge translation right there. Like Chloe, she was one of the lucky ones who was caught before she went into a diabetic coma. To know that we helped in that has such a profound feeling. Bringing awareness to type 1 diabetes became a natural thing for us. Chloe and I have become fierce advocates for type 1 diabetes, holding the annual Wear Blue for Chloe Day to bring awareness on social media to diabetes and to educate others that insulin is not a cure. And as you can see from some of the pictures that I've just showed you, we have had tremendous support from athletes, Olympians, musicians, and everyday people just like you and me. Chloe's advocacy didn't go unnoticed. She was asked by her hospital to mentor newly diagnosed children to help them transition into this new reality. And she became a spokesperson for Dexcom, who manufactures continuous glucose monitors. Insulin pumps, I have a lot to say about them and their benefits, and I would love for Chloe to get one. I really do, but the decision ultimately is up to her. I have an Instagram blog at myt1d.ca, and through it I have met so many people from around the world with type 1 diabetes. And what was highlighted is diabetes and mental health, related especially to body image. In those primarily 11 years of age to their early adulthood, some people feel that they are robotic, that having these devices and tubes attached to them means they're ugly, that they are not them. They don't feel comfortable going to the beach or wearing clothes that show their devices. And unfortunately, in today's age of perfection, filters, and social media, I can fully understand this. For it to negatively affect their mental health, though, it's not okay with me, and it really shouldn't be with any of you. Part of diabetes advocacy is also advocating for mental wellness, and these two things really do go hand in hand, and I don't feel it actually gets the proper attention that it needs. Another issue, type 1 diabetes it really is a family disease, because even though Chloe was diagnosed with T1D, Caitlin, her older sister, had to deal with the fact that Chloe was receiving so much more attention. And we found ourselves telling Caitlin that she couldn't eat certain things, or that she has to wait to have her treat, or hide the treat until Chloe's blood sugar was in a good range. And that was a huge mistake, and I'll fully say that I was doing this. So part of the advocacy is also advocating for the sibling, ensuring that they are in a good mental state, that they get the attention that they need. So managing diabetes in Chloe shouldn't negatively impact Caitlin. And now that has become a mission for me. It's to highlight that as well. In the last few minutes, I will talk about my work, Diabetes Action Canada, and what it is. So Diabetes Action Canada is funded through the strategy of patient-oriented research. And as a result, patient partners co-develop all the projects and initiatives. I transitioned from health service research to Diabetes Action Canada just a few months prior to Chloe being diagnosed. And I vividly remember giving a talk. And during this talk, someone in the audience asked me, do you have diabetes, or do you care for someone who does? And I said no. And so then they replied, so that means you don't have any skin in the game. I went on to talk about my experience, what health service research is, and what are the benefits of evidence-based research. And then I ended the presentation there. The person came up to me after and told me, you really need to add lived experience into the work that you do. Well, now I have skin in the game. I am a caregiver for someone who has type 1 diabetes. And now I can fully appreciate all their concerns. And that person who made that comment, she's a renowned diabetes researcher who I've come to admire, and I interact with her in my work. One of the greatest achievements of Diabetes Action Canada, and one of my direct involvements, was the development and launch of the National Diabetes Repository. It is a fully scalable analytics platform that provides researchers an opportunity to conduct analysis on primary care EMR data. But in addition to that, we have a research governing committee, and they approve research projects, each request, to ensure that it's in line with the best patient interests. So our committee is actually made up of 50% patient partners. So they can say, yes, this project could be approved, or no, this person shouldn't. And we take it a step further to ensure that every project has a patient partner involved in the research. And depending on their impact, they get full authorship credit. Our work is driven by patients. We have a collective patient circle, a Francophone and immigrant circle, an Indigenous patient circle. And we asked them what matters the most to them. And unanimously, they came back to say the prevention of blindness, and they're scared of lower limb amputation. So that is what two of our main projects are focused on right now, identifying those who need preventative retinopathy screening in the marginalized and vulnerable populations, and also using advanced analytics, so artificial intelligence, to identify ways to provide precision intervention for limb preservation. This is what matters to them, So this is what we focus on.